internet connection. Okay, very good. So then, may I ask if the sound is very clear? Kindly please type in the chat box 3 if you can hear, if you can see clearly, or 2 or 1 if you want me to increase the volume. Okay, I see thumbs up, I see threes. That means if your sound is not clear, log out and then log in again because it is in your computer, not here from us. Very good. So everybody typed in 3. Good. Today we're going to talk about discipline that forms, not just punishes. One of the things I mentioned in the previous days is this. One of the reasons why some teachers leave the profession, leave the teaching profession, is because of failure in classroom management. One of the reasons, main reasons why some teachers give up teaching is because hindi na nila nakayanan ang disiplina ng mga bata. And I'm sure you've seen teachers like that who gave up, who quit because they got too tired, exhausted, exasperated, burnt out. They got burnt out because ang mga bata ang hirap disiplinahin. And I think I will have to warn you, they are not going to get any better. The generation Alpha, they are the ones who will be coming inside our classrooms in the next few more years. These are the kids who maybe did not even start schooling inside the classroom, but online because they were prepped grade 1 during the pandemic. So you now have more and more teachers who are getting tired of nagging, punishing, power struggle. Those of you who are teaching high school, teenagers, adolescents, hindi na sila kagaya ng mga bata na pag sinabi mong sit down, the kid will sit down. Today, you have teenagers, high school boys and girls. Pag sinabihan mong sit down, aba, sila pang magagalit. Sasabihin, ang dami-dami ditong nakatayo, ako na naman ang pinag-iinitan ng teacher. You encounter problems like this. So today we're going to talk about how can we discipline in a way that forms the character, not just punishes. Okay? Now, what I want to do is first to make you do a self-assessment. Ano ang iyong um, discipline style? Okay? I want you to get a piece of paper and ball pen, or you can use your cell phone, or you can use the laptop and open a Word file and answer the following questions. There are 10 in this self-assessment quiz. You will choose A, B, or C. Now, teachers, answer according to what you do now. Okay? Don't answer according to what you think is the proper reaction or disciplining. Answer according to what you are doing now, what you were doing this past year in your classroom to your students. Okay? Not the ideal, but your present. So then, a student breaks a rule in front of the class, talking out of turns, shouting, standing without permission. What do you do? Letter A, do you call them out and give a consequence? Or do you, letter B, speak with them privately after class? Or letter C, you ask questions and involve them in fixing the rule that they broke, in fixing the wrong thing they did. Number 2, so just write there on your piece of paper or on your cell phone, A, B, or C, okay? According to what you have been doing this past school year, these past months. Number 2, a student refuses to follow instructions. about sitting down, about passing the papers, about lining up properly. Letter A, do you raise your voice or issue a warning? Or do you B, stay calm but insist in compliance? And letter C, use dialogue to co-create a solution. Let's go to number 3. A rule is broken repeatedly. Paulit-ulit. Do you A, give escalating punishments? B, do you use detentions or timeouts sparingly? Or letter C, do you have a restorative conversation to reflect on the pattern, to make them think about the repeated breaking of rule? Number 4, the class is noisy and out of control. Write it on your piece of paper, write it on your cell phone, write it on your Word file. The class is noisy and out of control. Do you, letter A, step in and shout or impose silence immediately? Okay. Letter B, do you use non-verbal cues or wait for silence? Or letter C, do you re-engage with a routine or community reminder? Let's go to number 5 and 6. A student is disrespectful to a peer, to a classmate, to someone inside the classroom. Letter A, do you scold them on the spot? B, do you call them aside to discuss? Or letter C, do you guide a peer-to-peer reflection and apology process? Number 6, after a conflict, may nag-away, may misunderstanding in a group work, how do you move forward? Letter A, the student serves a penalty. B, you reset expectations and observe closely. Or letter C, do you rebuild the relationship through trust and discussion? Let's go to number 7 and 8. When setting rules, you, letter A, set them unilaterally and enforce strictly. You make up the rules, you announce it, and you tell them, follow the rules. Letter B, do you explain your rules and allow students to ask for clarifications? And letter C, do you co-create with them those rules? Do you co-create them with students based on shared values? Number 8, you want students to behave because, is it because number 1, letter A, they fear the consequences? Letter B, they know the rules and expectations? Or letter C, they understand the why and they take responsibility? Finally, the last two, numbers 9 and 10, when students improve, do you expect it? It's their duty. That's letter A. Or do you, letter B, you acknowledge the improvement briefly? Or letter C, do you praise their growth in specific virtues? And finally, number 10, your idea. What's your idea of discipline? Is it letter A, obedience and compliance? Letter B, is it order and consistency? Or letter C, your idea of discipline is growth and formation? Okay, so you have 10 A, B's, A's, B's, and C's there in your paper, in your cell phone. Here is the diagnosis, the results of your quiz, your discipline style. If most of your answers are A, you have a punitive style, punishing. You focus on obedience through fear, control, and punishment. Fast, immediately the students will react when you shout, when you scream, when you yell, when you threaten, when you punish, but not formative. Or are your answers mostly B's? You have what we call authoritative traditional style. You emphasize structure, consistency, fairness. That's better than A, but may lack deep moral reflection. And finally, if you are mostly C's like Ma'am Lenny, 8 C's ang sa kanya, you have what we call the formative discipline style. It's rooted in dialogue, in empathy, and building habits of virtue. That takes more time, more effort, more patience, but it builds character. Si Ma'am Mayril is 10 C's. Very good. Okay? And what we are going to talk about today is how to be mostly C's. Discipline through formation, not simply to punish, to threaten, to make the students obey and comply. Follow me because I am the teacher. Yan. Truth is, there are teachers who do not know how to manage a class. So yung mga examples that I flashed earlier on, ang reaction nila is to get angry at the student who continuously disobeys or breaks the rule. And the teacher will say something like, John, how many times do I have to tell you? Yan. Are you challenging my authority? Get out. Go to the principal's office. There are teachers who are like that. They make up rules on the spot. And if they don't know anymore how to express their anger, they resort to get out. Go to the principal's office. Now! Tapos yung bata pupunta sa principal's office. And the principal will look at the kid, oh, bakit ka nandito? Sasabihin ng bata, I don't know ma'am, pinapunta ako ni sir, ng teacher. Because it's not in the procedures. It's not in the policy that you send someone to the principal's office. For what? So that the principal can reprimand them? And that is more hurtful? I've seen teachers who are like that. Ang kala ng iba, ang kala nila, the harsher the consequence, the more painful the words, the more disciplined the student will become. They will not. So that's the problem with what we call traditional discipline. It's reactive. Reactive, meaning to say, uh, you just react to a situation. That's why you shout, you scream, you yell, you get angry, you get upset, you punish right away, you make the students stand up, you make the students go to the corner and face the wall. Reactive focus. And inconsistent punishment. Some students complain, bakit si John kanina ang ingay-ingay? Pinatayo lang. Ako pinalabas. Inconsistent because it depends on the reaction of the teacher at that moment, which is dependent on his or her mood. Uy, bad mood si ma'am. Mas matindi ang punishment. Inconsistent. And then you have the problem of short-term compliance. Okay, if a teacher shouts at that moment, they will comply right away. But give it another 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and students again will continue talking out of turns, not listening, or sleeping in class. And then the cycle of resentment. So we need to remind those teachers na ang akala nila, the harsher their words, the more disciplined John will become. I've seen it. Teachers who will say, John, keep quiet. Kanina ka pa dyan ah. Kanina pa kayong dalawa dyan. Pagbuhol-buholin ko kayo, paguntugin ko kayo, makita ninyo. And the teacher thinks the more harsh yung sinasabi niya, the more disciplined John and Joey will be. No, they will just be full of resentment, looking for a way to get back at the teacher. So that's what we are going to talk about, in fact, in the session on stop disciplining and start managing, classroom management. We have now to talk about formative discipline, which is a new paradigm. We do not discipline the class in order to punish, in order to threaten. We discipline them because we want to develop their character. Their character using discipline in order to teach values like sense of responsibility, empathy, self-control. Yan. That has more lasting impact. We want to discipline them because we want to emphasize their growth morally, their moral growth. Sense of responsibility, nagagawa sila ng tama kahit walang nakatingin, kahit walang nagbabantay, kahit walang uh, punishment that they want to avoid. But that you tell them this is responsibility. Na kahit na hindi ko kayo nakikita at hindi ko kayo binabantayan, gagawa kayo ng tama because that is your sense of responsibility. Sagot ko to, response. I am responsible for this. That is character. Or empathy. Guys, no fighting, no teasing, no bullying. Not because I'm going to punish you, but because that is what empathy is all about, to feel for the others, to be able to um, treat others according to how you yourself would want to be treated. And then self-control. My dear fellow teachers, this is one of the biggest challenges we have with the kind of kids we have inside the classroom. Most of them, majority of them, do not have self-control. Because kahit sa bahay, walang self-control in video games, in Spotify, in Netflix, in YouTube, in TikTok, in Instagram, in outside there, para bang walang control. Unless if they have very good parents who have very good parenting style, who are authoritative, that the parents are able to make the kids do what they want them to do, not because of rewards or punishments, but because they help the kids be responsible and have self-control. So that is what we are after. Moral growth, accountability. That's formative discipline. Hindi lang to punish, but because we want to form their character. So it's a new paradigm. And then we integrate learning. Combining academic goals with ethical development creates a balanced classroom culture of respect. Kahit anong subject ang tinuturuan natin, we instill in them self-control, sense of responsibility. And then, because they are part of a class, they are not an island alone in themselves. They are part of a team, a part of a class, a part of a row, a part of a group of students. They need to develop empathy and collaboration. So, hindi lang sasabihin natin, no teasing, no bullying, no put-downs, just so that the class is peaceful. No, we want them to overcome those and instead develop feeling for others, being able to work with other people, collaborating. That's why we make them do a lot of group work, group discussions, get a partner, paired discussion, form groups of threes and exchange ideas. We make them do a lot of these activities because that is a way of uh, forming them in empathy, in collaboration, in character. And that will contribute to creating, building a positive community, which our classroom should be. Students should not be afraid of going to our school for fear of being bullied. Teachers, please make sure Bullying does not happen inside our classroom. Students feel they belong. Students want to go to our school because their friends are there. So I don't get tired of repeating this. The first week of the school year, teachers, please make sure you build a community, positive community spirit among your students. Make them get to know each other very well. Make them memorize the names, nicknames of all their classmates in the first week of the school year. And there are many games, fun games, by which they are able to memorize the names of their classmates. Exert the effort. It is not a waste of time. Even if you don't talk about math, science, English in the first week of the school year, that is not wasted time. If by the end of the week, there will never be any bullying anymore. There will never be put downs. Your class is a solid team, a solid group of friends who have empathy for each other, who will support each other, the good ones helping the weaker ones, those who need assistance. Okay, think about this scenario. What do you do? A student shouts, "This is boring," during your class. Can I ask for ideas in the chat box? What will you do? What do you do when you have a situation like this? You're lecturing, the class is quiet, and then suddenly a student shouts, "This is boring. This class is boring." May I know? Can I have ideas from you? Please type in the chat box. What do you do? What can you do? If you don't want to reveal your name in the chat box, send it to me as a private message. I will read it without your name. But if you are brave enough, you can type it there in the chat box. What do you do? A student shouting, "This is boring." Do you get mad? Do you call the student? Do you talk to the student and you tell him to come, and or do you make everybody stand up and let's do a jumping jacks until everyone again is perked up, and what do you do? No one is posting a response. I'm sure you have ideas. Share with us your action or reaction given this scenario. Okay, si Ma'am Lenny said, do a little exercise, then ask how he or she is feeling. Fantastic. Ask the reason why he or she said so. Okay. Pause the lesson and engage the student in a dialogue. Encourage him to explain why he said this is boring. Okay. Engage the group if they find it boring. Okay. Um, Here is what some experts say they will do. They will make light of it by saying, in real life class, yeah, somebody posted there, ask, why do you think it is boring? How can we make it interesting? Fantastic. Very nice. No, that's a democratic classroom. So, I know an expert teacher. If he hears something like this, he will say something like, class, in real life, sometimes you will encounter boredom, but you will not quit. You will not give up. You have to continue working. Do you think I, as a teacher, find every single second, every single minute exciting? There are also times when I, even as a professional, can find situations boring. But boring is subjective. It is how you react to the situation that will make the difference. Yeah. Okay. So somebody said, I give the student a different task, like taking down notes. Okay. Somebody said, compromise. Finish the assigned tasks on time, and maybe we can have extra time to learn about other things, what the students want to learn. Mention that boredom is good for our imagination. Very nice. I like that input. I will talk to the student calmly and ask him or her what is the problem, and maybe some icebreaker activity, and talk to the student privately with the presence of his or her advisor. Not to reprimand, but to ask what is his problem and tell us kung ano yung nararamdaman niya. Okay, very good. And all of these show empathy, that we are concerned, that we care, etc. Very good. Here are 5 discipline techniques that form and do not shame. Because the point is, many of you posted answers and not one of them said, pagagalitan ko. I will reprimand. Or I will make him stand at the one corner and then uh, even worse, some teachers who have very poor discipline strategies will send out the student. Why? Because ang feeling ng teacher is, are you insulting me? Are you challenging my authority? Get out. If you find this boring, get out. Some um, poorly trained teachers will do that. Not you, because you value character, you value formation, you are not just out to punish, you are here inside the classroom to develop character. So here are 5 discipline techniques that form and not shame. Here's the first one. Use restorative questions. Instead of asking the student, why did you do that? Why did you shout, this is boring? Or when somebody misbehaves, don't ask, John, why did you do that? No, try questions like this. What happened? Who was affected? What can we do to fix it? That teaches ownership and empathy. In other words, to make the student realize that may consequence ang action niya, whatever he does wrongly, may consequence. Like when he shouts, this is boring, I don't like this class. Teka muna, you're not the only student here. There are 25, there are 30 other students here. And what you did just affected them also. Think about how your action affects others inside the classroom. By the way, this is one of those uh, crises among the young kids today. They may be poor in empathy. They may be poor in thinking, feeling for others. And you know the reason why? Because empathy is developed by dealing with other people, with other human beings. That's the only way you can learn empathy. Pero you can have a kid today, you can have a kid today, the whole day of Saturday and Sunday, they can just be with their gadget, with their tablet, with their cell phone, with their laptop, with their television, the whole day of Saturday and Sunday, playing computer games. There are kids who are like that, especially if the parents do not supervise properly, especially if the parents are absentee. They're too busy trying to make money. The kids are left at home on their own, and nobody stops them from playing computer games, being with their gadgets, social media. So you can have a kid spending the whole day just with a gadget, not dealing with other human beings. That's the reason why you have more and more kids who have poor sense of empathy, because they do not deal as much as we used to when we were kids. When I was a kid, there was no cell phone, there were no gadgets. Pagka walang klase, aba, I was with my friends. Aakyat kami ng puno ng santol, kukuha kami ng prutas ng tiyesa, yan. Kay Mito, we would play Holland, Pico, uh, but we were together. I was with friends, not the kids today. That's why we need to teach them empathy in a very special way, more than um, how we were teaching it before to the kids. Sabi kasi ng research, a kid is unable to own a gadget responsibly below the age of 12. A kid cannot own a gadget responsibly below the age of 12. And the pandemic forced parents to provide even their grade 1 kid, grade 2 kid. That means 6 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old, with their own gadget. Kasi online class, kasi may module, kasi may asynchronous class. That's the reason why. Okay, that's one of the strategies to form, not just punish. Here's another one: private correction, public praise. Here's a principle that we should always keep in mind: don't resort to public shaming. Again, some teachers have the wrong notion na pagka pinahiya nila ang isang bata, made fun of the or reprimanded a student publicly, susunod lahat yan. Hindi. Again, the science research says a student, kahit bystander lang, witnessing a classmate being reprimanded, even those who are not reprimanded can get affected, and they may feel the pangs of the reprimand themselves. Kahit hindi sila ang pinapagalitan mo, isang bata lang ang pinapagalitan mo, those other kids are affected by that. So, private correction, public praise. This will build trust, not to mention, it will save the dignity of a person. After all, kahit tayo, we wouldn't want the principal stepping inside our classroom while we are teaching and the principal telling us, Mrs. Juana, late ka na naman this morning, ha? Don't, I mean, who would want that? We don't want to be publicly corrected, publicly humiliated. Here's number 3. Character breaks instead of timeouts. When a student misbehaves, instead of telling him, get out, stand by the wall, we give him a 3-minute self-reflection card. You know, it's a card with questions like, what did I do? What value did I ignore? How will I improve? There. A student talking out of turns, noisy, disturbing the other classmates. Don't reprimand, don't shout, don't scream. You explain. Of course, you have to explain the system in the beginning of the school year. You give him a card with those questions, telling him, give yourself 3 minutes to reflect on this, okay? That's better than stand at the back, go out, face the wall. Number 4, classroom reset ritual. Some of you mentioned here in the chat box, this is what you're going to do. Start over after a tough moment. In literally, you're going to tell the class, okay, class, let's reset. Let's begin again. This is a new moment. You can even put a real physical pause. Okay, everybody stand up. breathe deeply, 30 seconds, and then after 30 seconds, okay, sit down, let's reset. Let's begin again, okay? Forget about what has just happened, forget about the what upset many of us. Yeah, which is very nice. It shows our capacity for mercy. That we are not just teachers going around looking for how to punish people, reprimand people, get angry at people, be terror at people. In fact, you don't want to be in a classroom with a terror teacher. And finally, fifth way of forming character and not just disciplining, the 2-minute talk rule. Talk one-on-one with a student who repeatedly may have broken your rules. 2 minutes maximum. Just telling him things like, I care about you. This is not who you are. Let's fix this together. What's the problem? How do you think can we make this right? How can we make this stop? It can be, for example, with a student who repeatedly has not been submitting assignment. The 2 minutes, 2-minute talk rule. John, can I talk to you for a while? I care about you. If you continue like this, you're going to have a tough time in the unit test, in the final exam. This is not who you are. You can do better than this. I know you. So what is the problem? Etc. 2 minutes. That restores the relationship while at the same time you set expectations. Now let's go to some tools to really form character instead of simply punishing, disciplining. Tool number one, build positive relationships. Because education to be effective has to be personal. For education to be effective, it has to be personal. You're dealing with a human being. They're not merely class numbers. They're not merely numbers. That's why we need to develop, we need to really go out of our way to have personal connection, understanding their backgrounds, interests. And then based on those interests, those are the examples we give in our lecture, in our discussion. That's personal connection. It's very important. Empathy and listening. Sabi ko kanina, we need to teach the kids empathy, especially this generation of young kids today. Well, this is in fact a very powerful tool for us to be able to build positive relationships. Listening. If a student, for example, is trying to explain why he always he comes late, listen. Listen, because sometimes really it's complicated. The life of these kids can be complicated. Now, they may lie, they may be dishonest in what they say, but they cannot fault us for not listening. Active listening and genuine care foster trust and emotional safety. Positive interactions. Increasing positive contacts by 60% leads to more cooperation and reduced conflicts. This is, therefore, beyond academics. We cannot just be, um, you know, especially kung ang student mo, grade 1 to grade 10, pero you treat your class like a university magisterial lecturer. Yung papasok ka, you deliver the lecture, and then you go out. Pwede yan sa university. In fact, that's what magisterial lecturers do. But no, kids, we need to develop positive relationships, positive interactions. Here are 10 examples. I don't want to sound like I'm exaggerating, but really just to drive home the point, ang dami nating pwedeng gawin in order to make sure we build positive relationships. Here's the first one. Greet every student by name at the door. I know it's challenging, especially kung marami kang estudyante, but exert the effort to try to memorize the names of our students because personal recognition sets a tone of belonging from the very first second. It will require effort, sacrifice, but it's worth it. Bonus tip: add a smile, a nod, or a unique handshake if appropriate. And I'm sure you've seen those videos of may posters sa labas, may fist bump, may high five, may hug, may shake hands. Tapos, every time a kid would enter the classroom, pipili siya doon how he or she is going to greet you. Or, like what many schools already do, they assign a greeter. Every day, there is a student in charge of welcoming the other students. And they have those choices, whether to shake hand, to give a high five, to give a fist bump, to give a hug. And the student in charge of the day does that to welcome everybody to the classroom. But even more powerful is if it's the teacher who does it, then we develop positive relationship. Use 2 by 10. What is it? Spend 2 minutes a day for 10 days engaging a student who is struggling with zero talk about behavior or schoolwork. Meaning to say, just 2 minutes a day for 10 days. That student who is performing most poorly in class, who is always struggling with quizzes and tests and uh, does not submit assignment. 2 by 10, 2 minutes every day for 10 days. Not to talk about academics, subject, schoolwork, behavior. No, engaging him in conversations like, okay, today tell me about your parents. How are they? What is their work? How do they? How's your weekend with them? Or it can be, okay, today let's talk about your how did you spend your summer break? Did you go out? Did you go to the province? Do you have a province? Do you etc. Not about academics, not about schoolwork, but just getting to know the person. It works because it builds relationship first. Behavior change will follow. Here's a third strategy. Show curiosity about their interests. Ask questions like, what are you reading? What are you watching? What are you listening to? What do you want? What do you do when you are not in school? Those interests that the students have that have nothing to do with subject, academics, grades, discipline, complaints. I mean, it's not about those. It's about what are your interests. It works because students light up when you care about their world. One of the things that many kids complain about is uh, my teacher doesn't understand me. My teacher doesn't care about me. We have to show that we do care. We want to know them better. We want to know not just their names, but even about their interests. Number four, share small, age appropriate personal stories. We talked about this in one of the previous sessions. We too should be storyteller of our own story, of our own stories, of our own life. Let them see glimpses of our humanity, even failures, our favorite movies, what inspires us. All these things develop, build positive relationship. It builds mutual respect and warmth. I love a classroom where students are excited to go because they don't just see a teacher. They don't just see a math teacher, an English teacher. They see a role model, a friend, maybe not friend in their sense of chummy chummy, but someone they can really look up to and say, someday I want to be like that too. Like mom, like sir. Number five, give character-based compliments. Instead of just saying, good job, John. No, John, that was responsible of you. Keep it up. Joanna, that's um, amazing generosity that you have shown, lending a ball pen to your classmate in need. Good job. Keep it up. Jerry, um, you studied hard for this quiz. I can see how you greatly improved from your previous quiz. Keep it up. So you are talking about character. You're complimenting the grit, the resilience, the empathy, the hard work, the kindness, the generosity, not just the following got perfect score. Why it works? Because it affirms identity, not just performance. Number six, host 1 minute check-ins. During downtime, when people are done with the class, the quiz that you gave them, ask for 1 minute lang. Questions like, so how's your day going? How's the preparation for your competition? How is the um, Christmas competition going? The classroom decoration? Anything you're proud of lately? Yeah, it shows that you care beyond grades, beyond academics. You're not just interested in seeing them pass a subject. You're interested in seeing them grow up to be mabuting tao, mabait, mahusay, magandang character. Number seven, use their names often and kindly. In greetings, in feedback, in affirmations, and even in corrections. You see them as people, persons, with feelings, with names. Why it works? Because hearing one's name spoken with respect builds emotional safety. Number eight, celebrate small wins publicly. Spotlight effort, kindness, growth, not just grades. We've given a number of examples of this in one of the previous sessions. For example, today's quiet hero, Miguel, for helping clean up without being asked. John, for straightening up the desks, aligning the row, even if I did not ask him to. You are celebrating small wins publicly. Number nine, ask for their opinions. And some of you suggested that in pag may nagsabing this is boring, some of you also wrote there in the chat box. You ask the guy, what will make this interesting for you? Would you rather do this? Questions or anonymous suggestions. Why it works? Because when you give students a voice, agency, that they have a say, they like that and they feel they belong, and there will be greater ownership. And not only that, they will see that the teacher cares enough to know what we want. Number 10, end the week with shout out circles. Ano yung shout out circles? Students and even teacher give genuine shout outs to classmates, peers who showed character that week. For example, this week, John has been the hardest working finishing the project. Joanna has been the most orderly. Anybody else wants to give a shout out to anyone? And then you give them opportunity to compliment one or the other classmate. Here's a second tool. Set clear expectations and consistent boundaries. Clear rules. Set concise, age-appropriate expectations that students can understand and follow. Put them in posters, visual aids, reminders, write it on the board, and make sure it is clear and it is fair. And then make sure whatever rules you put in place, you enforce them consistently. Okay? Tool number 3, restorative practices. Repair harm. If there is fight that happens, students misunderstanding, and then they end up fighting, arguing, and arguing in a very violent way. Focus on healing the relationship instead of merely punishing misbehavior. If a student does something wrong, think of how to repair the harm, the offense that he may have done. Restorative practices get the students to suggest, to discuss conflicts and to suggest solutions, or even helping them look for, find common ground. That will have ownership, and that is a very good way of restorative practice. Another way of doing restorative practice is having supportive circles. Use facilitated circles and conferences to promote accountability and empathy. Give them a voice. Okay, class, what has been the challenge in the class this past week? How come there are many cases of teasing and bullying and put downs? And then you process them and you emphasize the need to have empathy, the need to work as a team, the need to be supportive of each other. Okay. These are all very important. Keep this in mind. Some teachers may think that when we do these restorative practices, the memorizing, memorizing the names, discipline is not a break from teaching, it is teaching. So even if many of these things that I mentioned just now regarding rather than punishing, we look for a way to develop character. The reason why we have to do this and why we have to exert the effort and why we have to look for strategies is because we are after their growth as a person in their character. And that is what teaching is all about. It's not just about passing a quiz, a test, a subject. After all, Maya Angelou said, when you know better, you do better. So let's keep on looking for those many other strategies that we can use in order to make the students develop character more than just looking for a way to punish them, to make them face the consequence, um, or even worse, to make them suffer because of as a consequence of their action. Kasi ganun yung old understanding, no, ng discipline, making the students face the consequence of their action. And if the consequence is detention, suspension, expulsion, then so be it. Otherwise, they will not grow up to be good. They will not grow up to be disciplined. Okay, the session today is effectively saying, well, there are other better ways other than detention, expulsion, suspension, etc. We will talk more about this when we cover classroom management. In fact, the subtitle of the session on classroom management is um, once and for all, you can solve that discipline problem, right? That's the subtitle. That's the like the blurb. But really, what I will be talking about there is stop disciplining and start managing. We're going to use Harry Wong principle. If you know how to manage a class, you will not even need to discipline. And that's why I'm going to share many concrete strategies. It's a rerun of what we have been giving in the past to so many teachers, and it's one of those that they really most appreciate because then they will not have to resort to shouting, screaming, yelling, raising their voice. Because discipline is not about punishment, it's about guidance. We are not trying to teach them to behave. We're trying to teach them to choose what is right. That is really what we are after. Okay. And finally, the quotation from Rich Riordan. Fairness does not mean everyone gets the same. Fairness means everyone gets what they need. And that is what we want to do when we say no. Don't just discipline, develop their character. Okay, I'm going to now post in the chat box the hmm, let me first. Okay, I think my computer hanged a bit for a while. Let's see. Oops. Hmm, okay, finally, I'm back. Sorry about that. Okay.